video specific to transparency and public comment with respect to the April 30th, 2026 school board meeting. So what the board did this year was different from what they've done in prior years with respect to how they scheduled their meetings. In prior years, they would typically have a budget hearing specific to the budget, meaning they would have a regular meeting, like let's say in the middle of the month, like April 15th, let's say, and then they'd have a budget meeting at the end of the month at like April 30th. And what they did this year was they took their budget meeting and they made it part of the regular meeting. Now, what they also have done systematically over the past few years is they have limited the amount of public comment through policy, shrunk that from 5 minutes down to 3 minutes. And they did that through policy. They voted on it to do that. Then what they also did was they gave themselves the right to change the amount of time given to the public on the fly at the meeting itself if they wanted to. And then the reasons that they're giving, which is, hey, we have too many speakers this evening, so we have to legitimately cut down on public comment. What they didn't say at that meeting was, we made a choice to combine two meetings into one. Now, making that choice is logically going to result in potentially more people wanting to speak because you're combining more business in a single evening. And it's a problem for reasons I'll lay out as we look at the public documents that they shared. Document that was shared at the April 30th meeting, it's called a board's eye view of the budget. It's sort of a spin on the bird's eye view. I really like this document because it does a couple things. Number one, you get this upfront one-page view of expense. I mentioned in a previous video that when you can see expense in a high-level view, it points to the structure of the system itself and where the money is, okay? So that's what I like about this first page. And then it's followed by notes that explain the numbers. And this is not an exhaustive document. It's 5 pages long, but it contains a lot of concrete, useful details. For instance, we see here the number of charter school children that are driving the $210 million charter cost. So this document was created by someone named Dr. Fraunhofer. He was the business administrator of Jersey City Public Schools, and he created this for the first time in the spring of 2024. He then later resigned in fall of 2024. And keeping this in mind, let's now go to the second document that was shared at the board meeting this past Thursday, which was the presentation overview given by Dr. Luce, the school business administrator. So she is Dr. Fraunhofer's replacement. And what she did was she took that board's eye view of the budget and effectively layered it into 34 slides and then added additional context. And, I had to sit with this for a little bit to appreciate the amount of work that probably went into creating this. There's a lot of detail here, and I think it's helpful. For instance, the process overview, the mentioning of state law that gives context to the timeline, the key dates, the fact that these things are like bolded, like all this takes a lot of time. I say this because I just from teaching, I know when you're trying to put together visuals, this is just timely. And I appreciate the effort that went into it. What happens though when public comment is curtailed is a document like this loses its utility, or I should say the utility is lessened, because this document effectively becomes a one-way communication tool where they're just broadcasting out. And perhaps what they're hoping is people like me, like I'm doing right now, will say, hey, they put a lot of effort into explaining this, but that's not the whole process here. There's going to be questions, and they have to make space for questions. And then that's going to deepen the understanding. And it's also going to deepen both the administration and the board's understanding of what is unclear based on this. I do not know why the board is making these decisions, but I did want to point out what I'm seeing because I think it's really troubling. I think it's a problem. And I said that on the record at the meeting on Thursday night. It's a problem when the district starts to ask more of taxpayers, but provide less access to the justification. A PowerPoint and a single evening where they are pushing out information is not sufficient, in my opinion. When they have a town hall, which they credited themselves for hosting, and only 3 members of the public in a city of 300,000 people show up to that town hall, is it really a town hall, or is it a meeting where the board showed up, used taxpayer money to broadcast out again? But if they're not authentically engaging with the public, is it really a town hall? I would argue it's not. I mean, it's a meeting where they are all just talking amongst themselves. So we need more and better transparency from this Board of Education, in my opinion. This is an editorial sort of take that I'm offering and sharing because I feel really strongly about this. And I think it's a problem, and I wanted to share it as part of this series on the budget. Okay.